Hello, Calaveras County. Welcome to another edition of Mondo Calaveras. I'm your host, Mike Taylor. We've got an interesting one for you this time, folks. If you'll remember, many, many moons ago, I believe it was Measure A, we voted on, and we got a brand new jail built here in Calaveras County. And my guest this time is going to tell us what happened to the old county jail. I want to welcome Mr. Martin to our show here. You are the facilities manager with the county, and I guess, what happened to the jail?
Well, it was long overdue to move on. So it was time, at the time the new jail was built, the intention was to decommission and demo the project. But that got put off because of budget constraints during the new construction. So over the last 3 years, we put together a project to demolish the project.
Yeah.
And it was just completed about 2 weeks ago.
Wow, okay, so the middle of July.
Yeah, middle of July, yeah.
Okay, and you were telling me just before we started taping that now it's how big a pile of rubble?
It is a 3,000 cubic yard pile of road base.
Road base,
Yes.
wow, so it was like crunched up and everything right there on the site?
Yeah, so one of the interesting aspects is, and fitting, is the byproduct, the concrete that was in the walls, ceilings, and floors were rubbled into road base. That is a product the county uses and buys on a regular basis. So
Sure.
It was a good fit. It now is product that we can use on road improvements and county projects.
That's fantastic, Patrick. Now, how did this ultimate demolition come about? How long did sort of the planning for it? I know you talked about some delays happening because of how much the jail cost to build. So how did you kind of take a couple of steps back and reconfigure the project?
Well, it was really like eating the elephant. The biggest concern, obviously, was the hazardous abatement of the project. The building was built in about 1962, 63 was when it was completed.
Okay.
At that time, many products that are known now to be asbestos and hazardous were used in the project. So we needed to get a abatement contractor to come out, assess the building, provide us with what the report was, and then that had to be incorporated into the bid documents to get an accurate assessment. So once the process got going, we realized it was not going to be a budget buster that everybody had anticipated.
Oh, okay. Does that mean that there wasn't as much of those hazardous materials in there, or they were less expensive to mitigate?
Actually, it was considerably less.
Oh, good.
So the quantity of asbestos was really limited to pipe fittings and a few other areas of some acoustical plaster. So it was consolidated. Although the jail was 22,000 square feet when it was finished, during the asbestos era, only a small section of it was part of that. So.
Oh, and that had the defending tiles.
Right.
On the walls.
So it was really isolated to the original structure that was built in the 60s, and none of the additional remodels that were done over the decades.
I was going to say, there were several remodels that were done to that old facility, weren't there?
There really were. The original intent was to go up to a second story.
Oh.
But that would have cost a lot more money on a one-time, so it was just dealt with in small remodels and expansions, and then it spread out over a single story, 22,000 square foot.
Okay. And with all that concrete, immediately the Tonka truck brain in my head goes to, the big crane with the giant ball swinging or something like that. How did they ultimately demolish it all? Did they use the excavators with the jackhammers on them? Or?
It was really 30 years in construction. I've never had the opportunity to really see the full demolition process, and it was really intriguing. It's not nearly as complicated as one would think. There was one excavator and a couple of people on smaller equipment, and it was just little bites at a time and breaking it up. And the abatement of the building actually took longer than the demolition of it after they were done abating it.
I'll be darned. How long did it take to demolish?
It took about 2 weeks to actually demolish it. It took 3 weeks to clean the cement and rubble it into road base, and another 3 weeks to abate it.
Okay.
So,
what was the largest quantity of material that had to be abated? Was it the asbestos? Because Calaveras County is notorious for asbestos.
it is. It's a naturally occurring product, and all of the cement came from our Calaveras cement factory. So really all we were looking at from a hazardous material standpoint were specific fittings on specific types of products. So the harder part was getting to them within the walls to abate them before the excavator came in and started rubbling.
Yeah, got all the dust going and whatnot. Now I know that we have a video that kind of shows what I will call kind of a time lapse of this going on. Let's take a look at that, and you can tell us kind of what's going on as we're watching the jail come down.
All right. So what we're seeing here is the actual original structure, and was one of the last portions to be demolished. This was the where the building originally started and where the entire sheriff's department and jail was housed.
Okay.
So they were very cramped as their department started to grow. You can see the amount of rebar that is within the walls of this place. Very, very few escapes ever occurred out of this facility.
Yeah.
And none of them were because of the going through walls or ceilings, because we estimated that over 15 miles of rebar were in the walls, ceilings, and floors. This is really kind of neat. These are all the jail cell bars that he's pulling out right now from one of the max security areas.
Boy, that's something.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny the way it looks like the excavator can't get through that roof. Was he or she, I don't know who's driving, but were they actually just kind of trying to get a crack started? Was that sort of the thinking?
Absolutely. You have to crack through that hard lid to be able to start knocking it out. So it's just a little piece at a time and a lot of patience.
Yeah. And I know they're spraying the water to keep the dust down. I didn't hear anybody talking about a big giant cloud coming out of the government center campus, so I'm guessing that was kept pretty small.
Yeah. So this portion here, they have what I call the Hulk hand, and he's going through crushing the big cement pieces, getting the rebar out. So that the cement can then be put into a rubbler and the rebar sent to recycle.
Really? So there's a machine that can sort out the steel?
Yes. So that's what he's doing right now, is breaking up the cement with that hand.
Yeah.
This is what's the very little bit that actually went to the landfill is this pile right here.
My gosh.
Everything else in the building was recycled, whether it be through road base or through metal recycling. So this was all part of the 911 dispatch addition in the 90s, and it was all out of conventional materials that are not recyclable. They're your normal 2x4 studs and plaster and those kind of things. So maybe 6 or 8 dump trucks full of material was all that went to the landfill.
My gosh. And we were talking about the size of the road base. About how many dump trucks like that would that be?
Wow.
I hate to ask a tricky math question because I'm terrible at math, but
thousands
of
dump trucks of road base were created. We estimate we have 3,000 tons that were produced with the destruction of the jail.
Wow. Now, that road base, it sounds like the county is going to keep it and keep using it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ironically, the brand new jail does not have enough parking. So we are expanding their parking lot, and about 1,500 tons of that material will go to the jail parking lot from the old jail rubble. So
perfect. So the county's already saving some money.
Already saving money, and then we have other areas that animal services, the Master Gardener's overflow parking lots can all use a good coat of road base, especially when it's free.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you run out there and sprinkle it around like Johnny Appleseed, right, almost. Patrick, what's going to happen to the space where the jail and the old sheriff's office sat? What's the plan for that square footage on the campus?
The intent is a new multi-use facility directed specifically at this point at the DA.
Okay.
The DA is in modulars down on the lower campus, and we are looking at and programming for a facility for her.
Okay.
So right now, the view that the building being gone has opened up is certainly nice for everybody to enjoy, but we are looking at a similar one-story, something that would mirror the other buildings on campus and match.
Mm-hmm. Now, we were talking before we started filming. The campus is old. There's really kind of no way around that. What kind of problems does that bring to you as the facilities manager who has to sort of mitigate some of, okay, that was how they did it then, now we have to do it this way today.
Right.
How do you kind of keep this building going, I guess, is the question.
Always expect the worst and hope that you get somewhere better than that.
Mm-hmm.
There are maintenance issues right now. We've got a major HVAC replacement project going on, so we will be, we're replacing all of the HVAC equipment, but it is an aged campus. So all of our infrastructure that was put in the day was before computers and all of the additional power and technical requirements.
Yeah.
So we're slowly working towards upgrading and bringing us up to current standards, but it is a challenge. We have a limited budget, and we have to choose what projects that we can tackle at any given time.
Yeah, I would imagine that with your construction background, at least there are all those wheels turning as you see another problem sort of presenting itself. What's the biggest headache on the campus right now?
Other than COVID?
Yeah, true.
Yes, from a facility standpoint, that plays in heavily because
it's small and employees are close together.
As the public still needs to come in and do permitting and things of that nature. So that's a real challenge right now. We have a lot of off-campus facilities that we maintain, and we lease these facilities out to other organizations, so working with those organizations on how to better their property that is ours is always a balance, because there's only so much money and so many funds to go around.
Sure, and sadly, and this is no dig on you, obviously, but maintenance is always the first one to get cut, isn't it?
Yes, and they call it deferred maintenance.
So, that's
you can defer it so long, and
then it falls over.
Right, so.
Yeah. The grounds. How big is the campus?
Government Center proper is about 53 acres.
Okay,
and that includes the property all the way to the library on Gold Hunter, across Mountain Ranch, and then up to past Jeff Tuttle, where the animal services and jail and sheriff's department are.
Sure. Okay. So that's a pretty sprawling space. What's kind of next on its horizon? Now the jail is gone, HVAC is getting replaced in some of the buildings, and you talk about what kind of timeline are we looking at? I would imagine it's pretty lengthy, but for the possible DA structure to even jump into a timeline to get built.
Right. Well, we already started the process and are in the design phase of the building.
Oh,
so
great.
we are already ahead of the curve. So we've had many meetings with the architect and the DA staff to program what the building needs to look like inside, not necessarily what it's going to, the finished look. So the process is well underway. That and I would love to see the new animal shelter fit in. There's been a lot of new talk about bringing that into the fold. So with my background in construction, I would love nothing more than to see us take advantage of the acreage we have and see some new buildings come into play, because we have outgrown the number of buildings we have, not necessarily the campus itself, because we have plenty of opportunity and space available.
Is there a mindset, and I know that the cost of construction is darn near prohibitive in California, especially for governmental facilities, without a bunch of extra money laying around in pools in government funds. How can you replace like all of those modular buildings, like you say, where DA is this something that's going to happen very slowly over time, or is there any kind of, I guess I'd call it umbrella thinking that, okay, let's build another big building similar to the two-story building now, where like the recorder's office and the auditor controller and whatnot are?
It really depends if the intent is to bring all off-campus leased facilities onto campus. That would necessitate another large building or several buildings.
Okay.
So that really hasn't been a short-term discussion as far as that goes. So we have plenty of land, and anytime you're taking a large facility and bringing it on, you're losing the lease cost. So that is certainly an advantage to building yourself on your own property.
Sure.
But you have to have the upfront money to do it in order to make it. So, those kind of things are a little bit out of my wheelhouse as far as how it would be played out. But from a practical perspective, it could be done.
Does the state have some money around to help build this DA building?
There are funds that she has already acquired for a new facility, yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. And it's, by the way, she is Barbara Uke, the Calaveras County DA. But so I didn't realize that some funding had been secured. Is it pretty close to 100%? Or, of course, we're still in the design phase.
Exactly.
We don't know exactly where we are money-wise.
I could guarantee you never have enough money when you start a project, because otherwise you would always be under budget.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And I forgot, when we were talking about the jail before we started filming, you said that you incorporated some of the I don't know if it was machinery or just rubble from the facility into, I guess we'd call it some visual, some enhancements of the campus. What kind of things did you do with that?
Well, we are real repurposers, I call it.
Oh, great.
I see something and I don't see it as trash necessarily. So in a jail environment with jail bars and circular stairs that go up to attic spaces, the sliding cell doors with the big lock and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We salvaged a fair amount of stuff from there, and we are currently in the process of putting together a very large water feature and relaxation area in the front of campus that has been appropriately named Rejuvenation.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be quite nice. It's going to be a 6-foot operable water wheel with about 5 other water features incorporated into it.
Neat.
And everything in the project, with the exception of landscaping, will have been repurposed from the jail or other things that we have found and repurposed.
That's cool. So what are you going to build the water wheel out of? I'm curious.
The water wheel is being made out of tree mortality wood that was planed down and specifically made for this project.
Mm-hmm. So, and is county staff doing that work, or have you found some folks in the community that are helping out too?
My facility staff, in between all of the other stuff, we've been working on this particular project for about a year and a half. A few hours here, a few hours there as we can. So I'm hoping before the end of this year, then we'll be able to roll that out. 2 years ago, we did a large pergola project in the main campus out of tree mortality wood.
Oh, that's right.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful addition to the heart of campus. It's now in full bloom with all of the flowers and everything.
Oh, sweet.
And it's a real draw for staff and the public, and I see people out there all the time enjoying it. So it's nice to see that it's being well received.
How many people are on the facility staff for the county?
Very few.
I
have a daytime staff of 4. 2 of them are dedicated to specific projects. So there's really myself and 2 other people on the day staff, and then the night custodial crew is another 6. So
okay, man, it's amazing that you can keep up with that campus with such a small staff.
You've
got a cheerleader here.
These guys really deserve all the credit. Everybody tries to throw the compliments my way, and I'm the conductor. They're the ones that are making the music. I can design crazy things like the pergola and rejuvenation, but they're the ones who are actually in the trenches making it. So,
having been in construction and now seen the jail's demolition, would you ever want to get into the destruction business?
You know, there's a lot to be said for ripping it down as opposed to putting it up. But a whole different world. Different world.
Interesting. It must have been fascinating for you to watch. Were you out there almost daily?
I was. My office happens to be right next to the construction site, so I was able to keep a real good close eye on it. And,
did they run into anything that surprised them? You know, something tucked into the walls, or was there even a time capsule in the old jail? I didn't even think about that.
No, there was no time capsule. There was all kinds of rumors and stories that were really, really fun to get into. And one of them was of a missing inmate that was never identified or never accounted
We had a Calaveras County Jimmy Hoffa.
And so the big joke was, are they going to find him? And no, we never found him. So, and there's never been any way to substantiate that he was ever missing. So, but the stories are always better than the reality.
Yeah, that's right. Well then, shifting kind of the campus on the whole, what are your sort of next big dream projects aside from the DA facility? What would you like to see done? Even something small that maybe just staff have asked about.
Well, right now we're, as an ongoing project that I started when we first got there, when I first took over, is Operation Beautification. And basically that means anything and everything that has been left to go to weeds. One flower box at a time, I call it. So we've repainted the whole campus the first time that it was done since 1960, and we got rid of the Panday pink. So there's a lot of things that we're doing.
As a longtime resident of the county, I appreciate hearing, a relative newcomer appreciate some of those old things that some of us found nauseating about the campus.
So we've picked a much more appealing color palette. Operation Beautification goes on all the time. That to me is really important for visitors and employees to really enjoy coming to the campus, make it an easier place to work and visit. Then it's all about maintenance and upgrade of infrastructure. Those are the big things in my very unsexy items. You know,
Yeah,
it's hard
yeah.
to sell. We need new electrical distribution. We need new water distribution.
Yeah.
Hard to sell those things, but they're really needed. So,
Well, and I imagine what makes it such a hard sell is you don't see the new water distribution system,
Exactly.
but every time another pipe breaks a leak on the campus and your staff is out there cussing and swearing at the moon, I can imagine
Right.
that something like that would be very necessary. What's the most costly thing in maintaining the campus?
Since I've only been there 3 years, but I see the track record from past and what I've experienced,
Yeah.
and easily our number one exposure for unseen costs was our HVAC systems.
Oh, okay.
And fortunately, we now have that in as a program, and a replacement project has started.
Great.
It was a very large investment, but well worth it and long overdue. So hopefully before the end of this summer, we will have replaced over 50 HVAC units that are running on banned R22 refrigerant with more current and much more economical units. So,
Okay, and man, 50 different units? I didn't, and does this mean that some of that is consolidated because the new units are so much more efficient? They can cover kind of a larger area, or?
we just have that many air conditioning units that are that old.
My
So,
gosh, okay.
yeah.
And so we're on our last minute or two. Pie in the sky, what would your dream project be on the campus?
My dream project would probably be to be able to gut and remodel all 3 of the original campus buildings, A, D, and E.
Yeah.
The structures were built in the 60s to civil defense standards, so they're rock solid.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
So they're not configured well for office space for the
Yeah.
different departments. So one by one, I would like to tackle those 3 buildings and completely upgrade them, update them, bathrooms, water, configuration, layout, ADA accessibility, and just have basically 3 new buildings that'll last us for another 100 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you, Patrick Martin, for being here. Managing the facilities of this county on that campus is just a marvelous thing, and I applaud you for the work you and your staff do, because we've noticed that the campus is looking nicer despite the fact that it's as old as it is. So congratulations to you and your staff on that.
Well, thank you.
You bet. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say, wear your mask, because we should. And let's get through this summer together. Let's applaud county employees like this that are doing the work for you and me and keeping an eye on how much they're spending. Thanks a lot, Mr. Martin. And until next time, I'm Mike Taylor. Enjoy.